Good morning, children. Today we'll be starting central bank, and in this chapter we are going to study about the meaning of central bank, functions of central bank, and a meaning of demonetization in India. So let's start with the meaning of central bank. Central bank, children, every country has a supreme authority, and they check over the monetary conditions, monetary institutions, the banking structure of any country. Every country has one institution of like that, and they keep a check on all the commercial banks doing or dealing with monetary structure of any country. So these one bank which has a supreme power over all the commercial banks is known as central bank. And this is when we talk about in economic term, central bank is the supreme monetary institution at the apex of the monetary and banking structure of every country. Then it is the leader of money market, and as such controls, regulates, supervises the activities of all the commercial banks. When you're going to write in your answers, you have to write your perfect answers, and in that you will keep the first point is that it is a supreme monetary institutions above all the banking structure of any country. Then it is a leader of all the commercial banks and controls and regulates and supervises all the activities of commercial banks. And then lastly you will write that central monetary authority manages the currency and credit policy of any country, and they work as a banker to the government and to the commercial banks. They don't do dealings with the public, general public directly, but they are the bankers for government and they are the bankers for commercial bank. If commercial bank has some need, then they can reach to central bank, right? So this was the meaning of central bank, and you're going to write all the 3 points whenever the meaning of central bank is being asked. Now the first central bank was established in Sweden, and it is written in Riksbank of Sweden, and it was set up in 1668. Then Bank of England was set up, and it was established in 1694. And the Reserve Bank of India, in India, the bank was set up on 1st April 1935, right? And under the Reserve Bank of India Act 1934, the act was passed in 1934, and bank was established on 1st April 1935, and on January 1st 1949 the RBI was nationalized. Nationalized means government took over control over the working of these banks, right? Now let us see the difference between central bank and commercial bank. You have already done commercial banks, so it will be easy for you to just keep a check, or you can compare both the banks. First is central bank is an apex institution of the monetary and banking structure. They actually control the commercial banks, and commercial banks do the dealings of money and credit of the general public, and they operate according to the guidelines of the central bank. So actually the central bank keeping a control over these commercial banks, and commercial banks are being run by the guidelines given by central bank, right? This was the meaning. Then objective. The main objective of central bank is to promote social welfare, children. And in commercial bank, they have the motive of earning profit, right? Then central bank is generally a government owned institution. The word generally is very important. So just whenever you are writing difference, just write generally it is owned by government institutions, and in commercial bank they are both owned by government as well as by the private institution. Then central bank has the monopoly. Monopoly means only they can issue notes, only they can print notes, but commercial banks on the other hand do not have any right of issuing notes or currency, right? Now central bank if we say central bank is a banker for government. We have already studied in the meaning. They are the bankers for government and for commercial bank. And on the other hand, commercial banks are the bankers for general public. General public can keep their deposits. General public can advance loan from these commercial banks. Then central bank, if we talk about number, then central bank has only one central bank and with few offices in a country. But in commercial bank, there are number of commercial banks with different n number of branches in the country. So they can have their branches abroad also, children, but central bank do not have their branches in abroad. So these are the difference between central bank and commercial bank. Now let us see the functions of central bank. The first function of central bank is to issue note, to issue currency. And this currency which is issued by central bank is known as legal tender money. Legal tender money means everybody has to accept that money which the central bank is minting or it is printing, right? Now why these note issue authority is being given to central bank? First, to bring out uniformity in note circulation. Then it is easily to control the money supply when there is a single agency of note issue. Then public has faith in the paper currency because one institution is only printing the notes. Then it helps in stabilization and external value of the currency as well, right? Then comes banker, agent and advisor to the government. Yes, we have already discussed in the meaning that it is a banker to the government. It also provides short period loans to the government, and many a times they help giving advices to the government. So for the government, it is a banker, as an agent and as an advisor. If we talk about agents, it helps in collecting the taxes, the payments of the government on the behalf of government. They collects, they do the payments on the behalf of government. Then they also represents the government in the international financial institutions like World Bank, like International Monetary Funds, conferences, etc. They go and represent the country's government in other conferences internationally, right? And it is also an advisor because it collects data and it helps the government to take various decisions based on these data which are collected by the central bank. Now bankers to the bank, it is also one of the function of central bank, that first is as a custodian of cash reserves of commercial banks. Yes, we all know that commercial bank has to keep some of the reserves in the central bank, and in time of needs they can use these reserves. They can very well use these reserves. They can take from the central bank. So every bank has to every commercial bank has to keep their reserves in central bank, and central bank becomes the custodian of that reserve, right? As a lender of last resort for commercial banks, if they fall short of money, so they go to the central bank and ask for loans. So they are the lenders. Central banks are the lenders of the last resort. Then as a clearing agent also, since central bank is connected with all the banks, so it becomes easy for the commercial banks to clear their payments, their entries through central banks, because it becomes very easy settlement done by the central banks, and the different banks who claims different deposits or different transactions, easily central bank can transfer from one bank to another, because all banks are connected with the central bank. Then as a supervisor, yes, central bank is a supervisor for the different commercial banks. It provides license, it provides the permission to expand the branches of different banks, then liquefying the assets and all, then amalgamation. You must be seeing nowadays the banks are merging, two banks are merging and becoming one. So this is all done by through the guidelines given by the central bank. And sometimes when you have to wind up the bank also, central bank helps you a lot. Then last function over here is custodian of foreign exchange reserves. Yes, if there is any foreign country who is doing business with the home country, then they can keep their reserves in the central bank, as all the commercial banks are keeping their reserves in central bank. In the same manner, foreign banks, business houses who are doing business over here, they can keep their reserves in the central bank, and central bank works as a custodian for foreign exchange reserves also. And it also helps in maintaining the external value of country's currency in terms of foreign currencies, and it buys and sells foreign currency in the open market also. So these were the functions of central bank. And the last topic in this chapter is given demonetization in India. But children, demonetization means when a currency note, any country's currency note or note of a particular denomination, say a note of 500 only, note of 200 only, note of 1000 only, they are ceased to be accepted by the general public as a legal tender money. It is termed as demonetization. We have already seen in our country in 2016, it was a great step taken by the government on November 8th, that a few notes like a note of 500, note of 1000 was being banned. That was said that these legal tender money should be stopped as acceptance. They were being said that these notes should be now not termed as legal tender currencies. And in this way, it is done to bring out the money from the people who are keeping it as a black money with them, and to get these circulated money from these people. This demonetization steps are being taken. And you must know the meaning of demonetization. Demonetization is simply when some legal tender money is ceased to be as a legal tender money, and nobody should accept these notes. The government says that this money, this note, this currency should be stopped in circulation, and they are rendered as invalid, right? So when such type of thing is done, it is called demonetization. And under demonetization, the status of legal tender currency is withdrawn by the government, and demonetized currency is no longer accepted as a medium of exchange, and old currency is replaced by new currency. So I hope, children, this much was only there in the central bank, and I hope you have understood. Please go through the audio again and again, and if you have any problem, you can just ask.